Hi, it's Christina with the Sisyphean Journal. And I've talked before about how prior to legalization, a woman's abortion death was homicide. And uh, there were attempts to cover it up. Falsified death certificates were common. However, um, undertakers and coroners and the clerks that processed death certificates, hospitals, they were all mandated reporters. And if they covered up, they could get in trouble as accessories after the fact. So there was a motivation to report these cases. I'm not saying all cases were reported, but there was a strong motivation to do it. Now, sometimes in order to avoid the body crossing the path of any of these mandated reporters, abortionists would dump the body. But today's death is the weirdest attempt to cover up an abortion death that I've ever seen. It took place back in 1915. Shortly after midnight on May 27th of 1915, a man named Willis Harvey contacted Chicago police to report a dead woman in the home where he lived with Dr. Eva Shaver and her son Clarence. And the dead woman was Anna Johnson, a 25-year-old hairdresser from Ludington, Michigan. She was in Clarence's bedroom with his revolver clutched in her left hand, and a bullet wound in the right side of her head. And there were 2 bullet holes in the wall of Clarence's room. Now, Dr. Shaver told police that Anna had come to her home 8 days earlier, wanted work, and was employed as a maid for $5 a week. So why a hairdresser would go to Chicago from Michigan saying she wanted work as a maid was a little bit fishy to begin with. Now, Shaver said that she had sent Anna to a drugstore to get some cotton in the afternoon, and then Dr. Shaver had left the house, came back at 6 o'clock in the evening, and Harvey told her that he had found a dead body in Clarence's room. Now, at first, the coroner's physician said that Anna, who had been about 6 weeks into pregnancy, had died from results of an abortion perpetrated 2 days earlier. But later he concluded that there had been enough blood from the gunshot wound that Anna's heart was still beating when she was shot in the head. But, he said, the injuries from the abortion were so severe that she was moribund anyway. She was going to die. But somebody, and they never determined whether it was Clarence, Dr. Shaver, or Harvey who had fired the bullet. So the fact that the gun was in Anna's left hand and the bullet hole was in the right side of her head, it was pretty clear that somebody had shot her to cover up an abortion. And Anna's fiance collapsed 3 times while telling his story to the coroner's jury. He and Anna had been engaged for about 8 months, and when she discovered she was pregnant, his name was Marshall Hostetler. Hostetler offered to marry her right away, but she didn't want anybody to think that she had to get married. So Anna asked if Hostetler could get her some drugs to cause an abortion, and he said that she insisted. And he happened to encounter Clarence Shaver on the L. The 2 of them were already acquainted, and he told Clarence about the situation, and Clarence sold him 2 boxes of Dr. Eva Shaver Specific Relief for Ladies, also known as the Little Red and White Pills. Each box contained 9 red pills and 3 white pills. You were supposed to take the red pills 1 every 2 hours and the white pills once a day. So Hostetler brought the pills to Anna, and she tried the pills once, no effect, tried the pills again, no effect. So Hostetler went to Clarence, told him about the problem. Clarence showed him letters supposedly from satisfied customers and told Hostetler that the pills could take as long as 14 weeks to work. That makes me think that the pills were probably a placebo, and the Shavers were hoping that any miscarriage that happened while the woman was taking the pills would be attributed to their product. Whatever the case, Clarence sold Hostetler 2 more boxes of the pills. His new round of pills failed to dislodge the fetus, so Hostetler went back to Clarence, who arranged for his mother, who was a doctor. They would give her good care. So Clarence phoned his mother, arranged to have Anna go to the house as a patient, and Dr. Shaver's office was in her house. This was very common at the time. It was also very common at the time for doctors to have rooms where patients would stay during treatment. So Clarence told Hostetler that the abortion would cost $25. Hostetler said, look, you know me, you know you're good for it, and gave him a $10 down payment. So he took Anna to Dr. Shaver's house and went to visit her a couple of times. On Tuesday at about 8:30 when he was there, he was talking to Clarence and Anna. Anna fainted and fell to the floor. Evidently, she did recover from her faint, and Hostetler went home. But he said that the next day at around 6 p.m., Dr. Shaver had called him and said that Anna had committed suicide. Now, Dr. Shaver and her sons, apparently she had another one in addition to Clarence, wanted him to go to Canada to stay until the whole thing blew over, but they didn't have the money to send him there. He said Dr. Shaver told him, this is a serious affair. We may all go to the penitentiary if you stay here. So Dr. Shaver knew it was likely that the abortion was going to be uncovered. And back before legalization, the people who helped arrange the abortion, family members, boyfriends, husbands, would be accessories to the murder if the woman died. So Clarence, his mother, and Hostetler tried to figure out how to stash Hostetler from the police. They tried to admit him to Dearborn Hospital, but they didn't have the $25 the hospital wanted, so they went to a hotel. Clarence and Hostetler checked into the hotel. Next morning, Clarence was gone. And at that point, evidently, Marshal Hostetler decided to go to the police. Shaver was tried for Anna's death and for the abortion death of a patient named Lily a year earlier. As the trial date approached, Hostetler said that he was getting death threats so frightening that he wanted to be kept in police custody. Shaver was tried twice for Anna's death. The first case ended with a hung jury. I haven't yet been able to determine if she was convicted in the second case. But it's really, like I said, this is the most bizarre cover-up of an abortion death that I ever encountered. Shooting the dying woman in the head to cover up the fact that she died from an abortion.